Welcome to the CEO Journeys podcast. I'm Paul Vetter, CEO and co-founder of VXIT, an IT service provider based in South Florida. This podcast highlights the successes and the struggles of the everyday entrepreneur and business leader. Let's get into it. All right, Keith Carley, thank you for joining me on our first episode of CEO Journeys. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
I'm excited.
So let's dive in. Your company, Air Compressor Works, is a service and distribution company for commercial air compressors. So walk us through just kind of the history of the company, what you've been doing over the last, because this company's been in business for a long time. So
1979.
1979. Wow. So tell us kind of how it got started, when you got involved, because I mean, you're still a pretty young guy.
In 75. So
Okay.
yeah, I didn't do this when I was 4, but
All right.
so how did it start? My father's brother started it,
Okay.
and he started it because he worked for an air compressor company in Miami, Florida, and he saw value in what they were providing. He saw a strong moat on what they were providing. It wasn't something that people wanted. It's something that people needed to do their job.
Yeah.
So he started it in 79, came up from Miami into West Palm Beach, got the business going. Very talented man, very good at what he was able to repair stuff, very charismatic, was able to grow the business. Hired my Uncle Rob, was his first, who wasn't obviously my uncle at the time, but ended up marrying his sister, and that's how it all came into the family. So as that progressed, my father got involved because they ended up, my Uncle Bobby, who my father, Al, and my Uncle Bobby were brothers.
Okay.
They were 2 years apart, and they were really close. And my Uncle Bobby had asked my father to be part of a building, buying the first building that they did.
Okay.
So it was a partnership, and he was part of the partnership.
What was your dad doing at the time?
Police officer.
Okay.
Long Island, New York, police officer, worked Nassau County Police Department. He was on the water.
Okay.
So he had a really good job up there. I think they did like 3 days on, 4 days off. So he was always a hustler. And what he would do was on those 4 days, he would do construction. So he would do construction, dormers, decks, whatever, cleanups.
But not air compressors.
Not air compressors, nothing to do, but he was just a hard worker. And from the time I was, I would say 5 or 6 years old, I always helped him.
Okay.
So I was the kid that, whether I carried 2x4s, sheetrock, cleaned up the back of the truck, organized nails. I mean, it was whatever he needed, I just would help him. So
Was that a natural thing that you just kind of picked up, or was that something that was forced? Because I also helped my dad growing up, but it wasn't natural to me necessarily. Like we were, if my dad was out in the yard, like we really didn't have a choice to be out there.
little of both.
Okay. All right.
A little of both. I enjoyed the construction side of it because I'm a hands kind of person. So I always liked building stuff, creating things, and organizing things. So it kind of went well.
Okay.
And he was always, he was a pretty good teacher.
Okay.
And I was always wanting to learn. So it
Awesome.
worked really well, especially in the beginning parts. And, you know, he'd probably throw me a couple bucks here and there, and I got to earn some of my own money as a kid. And then
That's awesome.
my first job was a paper boy and a paper route besides working with him. So I always had that want to grow and want to be in business or earn my own money, or, you know, figure out that way. So yeah, that was the start of it, and without getting off on a tangent there, but in 1987, unfortunately, his brother Bobby got sick. He ended up passing away in October of 1987 from cancer, lung cancer, brain cancer. So that was a huge hit for Dad. He saw a value in the business, though, that particular business, the air compressor business.
Yeah.
And when Bobby passed, he ended up leaving the business to my father, my Uncle Rob, and my other Uncle Billy. So those were kind of the brother-in-law and his other real brother, which was Billy. So over the next 2-3 years, Dad was still not retired from the police department. He was going to wait for his pension. So at 20 years and a day, he ended up retiring from the police department, got his pension, got paid the rest of his life, kept his health care, which was a really smart move, obviously.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And after he did that, he ended up coming down here full time.
Okay.
So he started to come down here full time, saw that there was a good business, started to invest his own money into the business. The business didn't do so good from 87 to 90 because my father wasn't really around. And unfortunately, my Uncle Billy and my Uncle Rob just weren't business savvy people.
They were good at air compressors.
They were good at air compressors, just not business savvy.
Okay.
So that was an issue that came to light pretty fast because when my father got here, I think he told me there was somewhere between $200,000 and $300,000 in debt.
Oh my gosh.
So my dad being the way he is, he didn't want to just Chapter 11 it and move along. He actually paid every single vendor. He squared up with everybody, but there was times when we would go to a supply company, like there used to be a company called K&K Pipe down the street here off Okeechobee. One time he had to take his shirt off because it said Air Compressor Works on it.
Oh my gosh.
Go in there, pay cash for the pipe that we were installing and leave because they wouldn't sell it to us because my Uncle Billy didn't pay the bills.
Oh my gosh.
So that was the story. So he came to a business and he just changed it. He turned it around. Hard work, determination. And that's where I kind of started to come into the picture because I helped him. This is so in 90, I was let me turn this off. In 90, I was in 10th grade.
Okay.
So in 10th grade, I actually came from Long Island, New York, and moved down to West Palm here.
Okay.
And spent a year in high school, 10th grade, and didn't like it. Obviously, I left all my friends, left everybody, and I was just like, all right, Dad, you need me, I'll come and I'll help you. But ended up getting into a little trouble because just didn't have the guidance that probably I should have had. So got into some trouble while I was down here. Him and Mom were in the process of getting a divorce. So I went back to Long Island and did 11th and 12th grade, but still came here in the summer times. So
I can imagine a young Keith Carley sweeping a lot of floors in that shop.
A lot of floors, a lot of cleanup, a lot of floors, a lot of slam blasting equipment, a lot of repairing pumps, just mechanical stuff that I really love to do. Yeah. So, it was interesting because very blue collar industry. Not only did I learn how to rebuild compressors, but I probably learned a lot of language and a lot of things that probably weren't healthy.
Yeah. Definitely.
To say the least. But it was fun. It was interesting. And I was helping Dad. So that was, as kids, what do we like to do? We like to please our fathers and please our parents. So
definitely.
It was good. And I learned a ton. So that's how I started to get down here. And then after 11th and 12th grade, being up in Long Island, 2 days after I graduated high school, guess who was there waiting to pick me up? He's like, come on, let's go. We're getting in the truck. So Dad was there waiting for me. I left my girlfriend pretty much crying on the stoop at my Aunt Nani's house because that's where he met us to pick me up, and hopped in the truck and we drove down to Florida.
Wow. And he's like, you got a job and this is what you're doing.
Come on, let's go. We got a business and we got a business to run. We got a business to fix. If you do some hard work and you follow what my lead is, I'll make you successful.
Did you believe him at the time?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah. I've always read everything he's ever tried to put everything he's tried to do, he's always done. So did I realize that at the time? No, but as I got older, I saw that his determination, his hard work, and he's a talented man just got him.
Yeah.
But what at the end result was really good.
That's encouraging to me because I have two daughters, 11 and 12, and the things that I'm trying to teach them now, they're very hesitant to trust me on. And I keep telling them that they'll understand when they get older. And I think that's a tale as old as time that, with kids and whatnot. And I tell them that I'm trying to teach them how to grow up to be good humans and great adults and functioning, adults in society and all that good stuff. And they don't always understand that or appreciate it, but I know that they will when they get older, because that's basically what happened to me. I mean, my parents weren't 100% right on everything, but for the most part,
they have a lot of good,
there's a lot of good advice. And for the most part, and even my upbringing brought me to where the positive and the negative. So that's cool that you had a good relationship with your dad. And
really good. Yeah. We had a really good relationship, really, really close.
That's awesome. Yeah. So when he drove you down to Florida, where did you start in the business? Like, what did you start doing besides sweeping the floors? Or did you do that for years?
No, swept the floors, rebuilt pumps, learned how to take service calls, sell parts over the counter, help when we first started, there might've been 5, maybe 8 people there. That worked with us, a secretary, a guy that answered the phone and dispatched service calls, 2 to 3 service technicians, and a guy that sold parts over the counter, and just kind of saw little gaps and places that I could fill in, and just always was a guy that just kind of saw where things were needed to be done and hopped in and figured it out.
That's awesome.
But it was interesting. Dad was strict. I remember some of the guys saying to me, because we would joke around a lot, and the guys would always be messing with me because I was so young. And they would be like, "Don't let your father see you laughing. There's no fun around here, man."
Wow. Wow. That's amazing.
And I was always, I was a kid. I was a fun, happy-go-lucky kid. And we would have a lot of fun doing work. We would work hard, but we'd be having fun while we would do it. So
that's awesome.
But Dad would be out there. I mean, we really turned the business around by doing air systems. Okay. So Dad did construction up north. So air systems came easy. An air system is basically taking galvanized, whether it's 1-inch, 2-inch pipe, and you hang it in the ceiling, just like sprinklers.
Yep.
And you run it through the whole building. And then you connect the air compressor to it, and it distributes the air to the points of uses.
Yeah. And maybe for context for those listening and watching us, we're not talking about the air compressors that you get at Home Depot that fill up tires in your garage. We're talking about air compressors the size of this room in hospitals, manufacturing facilities.
I'll back up a little bit and tell you what air compressors, because a lot of people go, "Oh, you air conditioning? Oh, great! Can you come and fix my air conditioner at my house?" I'm like, "No, it's a little different." So, air compressors are used in manufacturing facilities to basically provide energy.
Okay.
So what we're doing is we're selling them a box. That's the air compressor. It compresses air, and we send it throughout the plant. So whether it's a printing press, or it's for watches or digital screens or clothing or countertops or flooring, cement factories, sugar. I mean, anything that's manufactured needs compressed air. So you have electricity, you have water, natural gas, and compressed air. And those are the 4 utilities that you usually have in a business.
Okay.
So air compressors has always been, in the way I learned it's the 4th utility. So basically we provided a box that provided a utility. We sold it, and then we got to service it continuously because it runs depending on how much they produce. And a lot of our key client would be a 24-hour-a-day operation that always needs compressed air.
Yeah.
So we're seeing those people, whether it's once a month, once a month, or once every 2 months, or once every 3 months. So you get a return of maintenance. So every box that we put in, and we were a distributor. So we were a distributor for a certain manufacturer, and that manufacturer gave us rights to a certain area. And our area that we covered was from the Keys all the way up to Vero Beach, basically out to Lake Okeechobee. So that was the rough territory. So no one else could sell that manufactured compressor in that area.
Okay.
So what we did is we committed to that manufacturer to say, hey, listen, we'll sell only your product in this area as long as you give us all the leads and you help us with some marketing and you help support us when we need stuff. And that's where that relationship would come into play. So
do they do that kind of across the nation, or is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
okay.
pretty
It's kinda
much the style of that business.
Okay.
The manufacturers either back in that time, they all used distribution. So private distribution was the way a lot of them started.
Okay.
As time went on, basically because distributors maybe not had done the right job or didn't do a good enough job, the factory store would come into play.
Okay.
But fortunately for us, we did a good job. Both sides of the parties were satisfied, and for, let's see, 1983 was our first contract with the manufacturer, and just until January 5th here, we had the same company. We never traded.
That's crazy.
We never changed our manufacturer. So,
and I'm sure that came with pluses and minuses. Obviously, there was good things and bad things that happened.
There's good and bad things.
Yeah,
and that was for a specific brand of compressors. So that was like there's rotary screw compressors, and then there's piston compressors, there's scroll compressors, and they're all used for different industries.
Okay,
like scroll compressors are used for medical purposes, and they're oil free. Piston machines are more for like your body shops and service departments. Rotary screw machines are more for manufacturing facilities, like a printing press that runs 24/7.
Okay.
Or or U.S. Sugar that produces sugar all year long, all the time. If their plant goes down, it's a problem. They're losing money.
Yeah.
So as we got larger and larger, we got larger contracts. And that's where I really got into it. And I was able to use my engineer brain to help clients engineer compressor systems. And that's
wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, that was fun. So
obviously when you first started, you're sweeping floors, you're organizing parts. You said you're answering phones and things like that. When did you get? I'm gonna say this. I'll be obnoxious. When did you get a real position? When you had like an actual title, and when you kind of
Dad was funny about that, man. Dad was funny about the way he did business. He wasn't particular like about what people were called or what your position was, or he just always had a get it done kind of attitude, which works really well when you're under 20 people.
Yeah.
But as you start to scale the business, it kind of makes everybody's confused.
Yeah.
Because they don't know exactly what their positions were. So
because they're wearing multiple hats.
And it's a small business, and it's really, without that structure or organization part of it, it makes it difficult to scale. But when I would say not too far into it, I became more of the first place in the business that I really sunk my teeth into was providing parts.
Okay.
So guys would go out on the road, they'd find a problem, and they need a part to solve the problem. So I'd do the research, I'd find it, I'd get them the part, and they'd be able to go back and fix it. People would come in over the counter. Hey, this is broken. Do you have one? Yeah, we have one. It's in stock. Let me go get it for you. Here's how much it is. Collect the money. Okay. So I was more turned into a supply. I was like, I was the person that got the stuff for people.
Got it.
So purchasing, and then I would dig in. I would find out, okay, so this is good quality. This one's good quality. This one's less price. And I would start to negotiate with vendors and be like, I don't know why I would do it, but I've had people come to me when I was younger and he says, how'd you get such a good price? I don't know. I just asked for it, and I just kind of searched around for it. So
you think that's a little bit of your father coming out in you?
You know what? He always instilled in me that, hey, this is going to be your business one day.
Okay. So he was prepping you from the beginning.
It sounds like beginning.
Wow.
From the beginning.
Okay.
Absolutely. It was always his plan for me or I had an older brother that also worked there, but they didn't see eye to eye.
Yeah.
It was just different the way that I did business and he did business. It was just different.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was always my driving factor. I was like, well, this is going to be mine one day, so I'm going to treat it like it was mine, and I'm going to do my best to do it no different than my finances, not spend more than I make, be thrifty with the things that I do purchase, try to make money off of the things that we're doing and keep, and be accountable for our time, which, in a business that's the biggest thing, is be accountable for your time.
Yeah.
That was my father's big thing. He would be like, I'm going to pay you for 8 hours. All I'm looking for is, 6-7 hours of paid work. If you could go get that out on the road and do that, then we're in the plus. And my thought process was, all right, we're going to work 8 hours. We got travel time in there. So I could probably get 10 to 12 hours out of everybody. Just because if I book appointments in Vero and there's an hour travel there and back, and I give them 3 or 4 jobs, then I probably could get these guys. So, and then of course you're like, all right, well, this isn't all for me. I got to give these guys a bonus so that they're motivated too. It's not all about me. So that's where I started to do dispatching. Put the guys out on the road, make sure they had the right parts, contact the clients, let them know that, hey, we're coming. We're going to be there tomorrow or Thursday or Friday, whichever day it was. And just built relationships with people. Just figured it out. No one ever taught us. No teaching. There's zero teaching.
Well, I mean, it was a school of hard knocks. It was the just kind of the natural growing up in that environment that kind of led you to and through that. Because that's incredible.
That's pretty much what it was. And my father was always fair. He goes, hey, if we make money, you guys make money. We make money together.
Yeah.
I mean, and really, does it make money? It's satisfying clients. If you satisfy clients and you do the right thing, the money will come.
Yeah.
So that was always the thought process behind it. So.
Yeah. I mean, I obviously haven't seen your dad in many years, but when we started working together, I'll kind of give you the context for those that are listening. So VXIT, we've been doing your IT for 10 years or pretty close. Actually, it's been 10 years because it was 2015.
Absolutely.
So obviously got to know your dad a little bit through that beginning of the process because he was still around in the business.
Yeah.
So I can
when he was getting out.
Yeah, I can totally just hear him, see him saying all those things. Cause I mean, he was a very smart businessman. Like he knew what he was doing. It was very clear. So that's amazing that you kind of grew up and through that and he kind of trained you with that. That's amazing.
Yeah. He had some natural talents of how to treat people. And I don't know whether that came from working in the police department for as many years, finding out of what things maybe I shouldn't do or should do, or how to respect people, how to have that chain of command to a certain, or it was more of when he would get bigger jobs in the construction side of it, he actually would bring people on and have them work. So as he got bigger in that construction and people word of mouth would be like, oh man, he does a good job, hire him. You got to change a window, build decks, build dormers and stuff like that. Ended up doing extensions for people. So he'd hire a crew of people and that was kind of his business. And he did really well at it.
That's awesome.
We never really had to move from law, but he saw this opportunity and he wanted to take it. So
that's awesome.
Where we ended up.
So what year would you say you kind of really started to take over the business? Because you described kind of like, I don't want to use the word startup because you had been around for years at that point, or Air Compressor Works had been around for years, but it sounded like your dad wasn't in the mode or mindset to necessarily scale this thing to what you scaled it to. Is that accurate?
Yeah. That's a good question. That's not an exact year, but
okay,
about in that 2015. But before that, he gave me a lot of leeway to learn, make mistakes, and he would just look at the big picture.
Okay.
And the big picture in his mind was, are we profitable?
Okay.
And at the end of the day, it was really interesting to me because he stuck his neck out on the line for everything. It was his money. It was his risk. He was smart enough to buy the buildings, take on that risk.
Yeah.
Which is, if anybody's ever, taking loans and having that responsibility to pay loans is a big deal.
It is.
That's where the stress comes from. That's where, oh my, if I don't get this paid, it's on me. It's on my back.
Yeah.
So he was good about taking on the stress. And I think that comes from a confidence thing of, you know what? One way or the other, I'm going to figure this out.
Yeah.
So he had a lot of confidence in the fact that he could figure it out. And he always just kind of, again, looked at the big picture. So when did I start to take it over? Somewhere in that range of 2015,
okay,
plus or minus, I would say. So it's about 10 years ago.
Okay.
I would say, 10, 12 years ago. Yeah.
And we were introduced by a mutual friend. You were working with a consultant, Doug, I think at the time. I think that's how we got connected.
Right.
We had also attended the same church at the time. And I think you guys were just in a spot where you had an employee who was he was an air compressor sales guy, but he also had a technical background. So he was kind of handling your IT work. And I think that you might have gotten to a point where you're like, man, maybe we're missing something. And Doug introduced us and we started talking. Is that kind of how that went down?
Well, backing up just a little bit there. So now that you say that and you put that into content, it probably was closer to 2010 and 15 when I started to take over. And Dad got a little less disinterested in the business or just wanted to step back and see where it would go.
Yeah.
Because
maybe retire, enjoy his life.
And retire, enjoy his life. But it's, he was kind of a little bit of a workaholic, which we all could be.
We all are.
Yeah. We want to be successful. And sometimes that's what we're told in this world is success is money. And it's really a bunch of things and not just money, not just monetary. And that's where I had to figure out life. I mean, growing up and having that direction put in front of me, I kind of focused. My main focus was growing this business, was making sure every last ounce of energy was put into making sure this thing was going to be successful. Yeah. And kind of missed some things along the way, which was getting married, finding out what life's really about. Yeah. And found myself in a really peculiar situation with not having good relationships, not having a wife yet at age 35, 36, 37, and doing the same thing over and over again, finding a girlfriend, not being able to be successful about a relationship. Yep. So got really tired with that. And finally, the most important part of my life was I gave my life to the Lord in 2012. 2112 was when awesome. I gave my life to the Lord, which was a complete game changer. That's not awesome. Only for me, but probably a lot for the people that I worked with and gave direction to. Yeah. Made me a lot more empathetic, started to make me understand about myself. Mm-hmm. What success really looks like. Not just monetarily, but spiritually, mentally, physically. So all those things really came to light after doing the same hamster wheel over and over again. I call it a hamster wheel because, again, I had a lot of the financial things by that time. Yeah. In 2010, 2012, we were already pretty successful and making good money, but it was empty still. So I was like, this can't be all that's life's about. So that was a big deal. And then once I turned that corner, it allowed me to start to manage the team a little bit better, have more respect for people and their time and life in general. So that was the biggest change in my life. So.
You're speaking my language because wellness, especially as an entrepreneur, is really important to me. The spiritual, physical, mental health of ourselves. I always equate it to when they tell you to put your own mask on first in the airplane. You have to have your house in order. And when I say your house, I mean yourself. There are certain things that I just have to do every day. And maybe we can dive into that. I have to do certain things every day to just keep sane, just because of everything that we're dealing with. And it's so funny because at some point, when I was just an employee years and years ago, and I say just an employee, but I was an employee at a company. I remember the owner of that company going, "You have no idea what it means to own a company." And I'm like, dude, you just collect a paycheck. And I was so wrong. I had he was right. I didn't have an idea, but I judged him for telling me that because I was like, your life's easy. We do all the work. And that's just not the case.
Yeah. It's a really good point.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I didn't figure that out until I actually purchased the business from Dad. Yeah. Whole different thing, a whole different lineup of stress when you actually, when the buck stops with you. Yeah. So after I did purchase the business, which I did over years and years, but it started in 2015, and it
Okay.
was a slow buy-in. But when I truly purchased it, which was in 2020, that's when I realized, oh,
It got
wow,
real.
It got real.
Yeah.
Like, if this doesn't work, it's on me. We took it this far and it's successful. So now if it's not successful anymore, the only person you can look at is this guy. So, or the team. But at the end of the day, I'm the one who chooses the team. So that's when I really understood what Dad did for those years and years and years, in addition to taking on the stress of purchasing the buildings, of putting a lot of his own hard-earned cash and money in the beginning of the business when it was $200,000-$300,000 in debt. I mean, that's when I really had a lot more respect for that whole process.
Yeah. It's so funny that you said that, because I experienced that last year when we bought out a silent partner.
Yeah, you told me.
So our company started, for those that don't know, and I'll probably do an episode on this, but there were three of us that, and it was actually this one guy's idea, Chris. It's so funny because he didn't know he didn't even know how to spell IT when he's like, oh, let's start an IT company. But
that entrepreneurial spirit.
Totally. Yeah. 100%. And
meanwhile, Dad, by the way, Dad had no idea what an air compressor was.
Yeah. It's the same thing. So last year, after years and years of conversation, my other business partner, who we've basically built this business, although we've been building this business for 10 years, actually it's been more than 10 years. It's just been Craig and I, when we finally brought out Chris and actually like got a loan through the SBA, through the bank, signed over our homes. Both Craig and I had to sign over our homes. And, if something happens to us, like our life insurance pays the loan first, not the family. So that it became real. I was like, wow, now this is, even though I owned part of the company before,
it's not the same.
It's not the same. It just hit harder last year when I was at my dining room table with Craig and our wives, and we were signing, to sign up for this loan that was the largest loan I've ever taken out in my life. It's crazy. It got real. All of a sudden.
That's when the rubber hits the road there.
Yeah.
You got no one to blame and but yourself. And if it doesn't work, you're liable.
Yeah.
For everything that you worked your whole entire life for. So, yeah. I get it.
So this episode is not necessarily about our relationship per se. And I wanted to kind of give that context that we were working with you and working on your IT and stuff like that. But I want to hear, because that's what this podcast is about, is the journey of the everyday CEO. So it's cool to hear from like Elon Musk and the CEO of Disney and stuff like that. But I want to highlight us, the regulars. Yeah. So it's us small people. So, I'm talking about things that I have to do to stay sane, quote unquote. What's that for you? Like, what do you have to do? How do you have to prepare to attack the day? Like, what are some of the things that you do?
I wake up in the morning and the first thing I do is work out.
Okay.
I got to get my head straight. And if I do work out, the day is much better. And I say work out, you go to the gym, do a little cardio, some lifting of weights. Those were my most successful days, where I was, the brain worked, and it matched up with whether I was doing physical or mental or whatever, or dealing with people from a stress level. That was the best. And that was another thing that my dad always taught me. And actually we did together when we did first start. We would always go to the gym.
That's incredible.
He liked to do it at the end of the day. I always like to do it in the morning, but that was a little bit of a change, but that was one of the most important pieces, was physical health, which, as we know, translates into mental health.
Yeah. I think it's so funny that you say that, because I don't think that a lot of people actually realize that. And that's actually something, although we were active, like I rode bikes and stuff like that, I was in sports as a kid, my parents never understood, because they weren't taught from their parents the importance of moving our bodies in that way. Oof. So I just discovered that about 10 years ago. And that's kind of, it's so funny that I say that it was the carousel. What did you call it?
It's just the most important part of the morning was that. It was the catalyst of starting a good day. I mean, that was the most important part of it, was if you don't bring a healthy person to the party, what's the sense? So yeah, that's, I don't know what I said exactly.
No, it's fine. It's just, I years ago, I felt like I was stuck on this carousel and just going round and round. I was like, man, this is all to life.
Hamster wheel.
Thank you. Yeah. So I call it the carousel. And I found like the personal development world. And I had grown up in church, so I had that piece of it, but there was still another piece that, because I don't, yeah, and we can go down that road, but actually we won't go down that road, but there was still a piece missing in my life, I believe. And that was that piece. I wasn't the master of myself.
So physical.
Yeah. And quite frankly, I was drinking heavily to cope with the stress of owning a business.
Everybody copes somehow, some way.
So I would come home after a stressful day. I would eat like shit. I would drink and I would relax. And that was my way of de-stressing. But what I realized, that actually caused more stress than it freed me up from. So I learned that lesson, and I think it's super important. And that's one of the messages within this podcast that I'm going to just talk about constantly, because I totally agree with you that, like, when I miss a workout or I don't do my morning routine, like, the day is just not the same.
I think you'll hear that from all the podcasts I've ever listened to. The successful CEOs, they all have very similar habits.
Yeah.
And I think one of them is always physical preparation, or want to be healthy in a physical, which leads into a nice mental. It gives you a good foundation for a good mental health as well. And then the spiritual obviously comes along with that as well. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So working out definitely is
working out was it. And then, you know, showing up, doing it, just being persistence and consistency, I think, are two things that are overlooked and underrated. But one of the guys that taught me a lot was he had a thing on his desk that always says persistence is like, I don't know the exact, but persistence overcomes talent all day long.
Yeah.
Because how many people do you see that are talented or smart that don't really succeed because they're in their heads and they don't have persistence to stay the course?
Yeah. I always talk about, and this is just something that I've learned, is all of my success has been found in that consistency. And it's really doing like the unsexy work every day, day in and day out. And I always equate it back to my physical journey, because
it's the same thing.
Yeah, the exact thing. So I'm 60 pounds lighter than I was in 2018. I was 60 pounds heavier than I am now, which is crazy to think about. But that was Paul eating and drinking whatever he wanted to, and that was his way to escape from the stress of life. But when I found what I found in fitness and eating the right things and fueling my body properly, and I had to do it just consistently. And it wasn't a magic pill. It wasn't anything sexy. It was just, I would get up, I would lift weights, I would do some sort of cardio, and I'd put the right fuel in my body. And that's
it's very unsexy.
It is.
It's very repetitious.
If you do those unsexy things, you'll get a sexy body. And that was what I was chasing. So I didn't want to look the way I looked. And it wasn't only about looks. It was about how I felt, because, even like the alcohol, I would struggle with anxiety, and the anxiety was being caused by the alcohol, but it was also the relief. So like whatever, there's a saying like the cure is, also the problem, but it wasn't actually curing anything. It was temporarily disabling the anxiety, but it was just building over time. It's crazy.
It's funny because I had a good example of what physical health looks from Dad.
Yeah.
But from a spiritual side, I didn't get any of that. It's different. So it's just different things that you got to figure out yourself.
Yeah.
So you figured out your physical. I had to figure out my spiritual.
Yeah. So let's talk about the business. What was like kind of some of the noise that you dealt with on a day-to-day? Like, what was the noisiest thing that you dealt with and kind of navigated on a day-to-day basis?
First thing that pops in the head is people. As we got larger, people problems, calling sick, calling sick or didn't show up on time, or Some of it probably was me with setting expectations that are probably unrealistic to accomplish. When you set expectations really high for yourself, you expect the same from others, and that's just a recipe for disaster. So noise would be noise or difficulties would be, in a service business, people don't call because they want to tell you hi or thank you. It's because they need you.
Yes.
Which is the double-edged sword, right? That's the beauty of the business is they need what we are selling. But if they don't prep properly and have a backup or spend the money on redundancy, whether, if you have one car and you need to get to work every day, if that car breaks, what do? You either rent one or you go buy another one or you don't go to work. That's the same exact thing. If you don't have two compressors and you need, one of those two compressors, then you're calling and you're saying, I can't make any money today. And I got 10 people standing around with their thumb up their butt.
Yeah.
So that stress, and me being the type of person that I'm a people pleaser, I always wanted to make sure I did my best and show up. That was stressful to take some of those calls and how to handle people upset on the other side of the phone. So that was a lot of noise for me on how to figure out.
You realize you just described my industry as well, right?
It's any service business.
It's totally, yeah.
It's any service business. It doesn't matter what
I say that constantly. I always say, I tell people, I'm like, nobody ever calls us to go, hey, everything's working. I just wanted to let you know that. It's always shit is broken. You need to get over here immediately.
The printer doesn't work. Yeah. I can't send an email. The computer doesn't turn on. Yeah. No, that's not. No, same thing. So, and then having the tools, and the tools would be usually personnel, a qualified mechanic, which, you don't pick up off the street. That's not an easy train. So you need to have those right people as assets to the business to go fix problems. And then the other noise was, how do I keep those assets and those people that are helping us satisfied? Yeah. So how do you retain the talent? How do you keep the talent engaged? How do you keep people continuously learning? And again, it's a blue collar industry. So you're dealing with other issues, whether it's drugs, alcohol, women, blah, 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 whatever it is. Everybody has their struggles in this industry. And it was tough to watch sometimes. Yeah. Probably one of the reasons why I didn't get married till I was 47 years old. I saw a lot of divorce. I saw a lot of unhealthy relationships. I saw a lot of unhealthy behaviors. And until I gave my life to the Lord, nothing changed.
That's crazy.
I followed that path the wrong way, and it led me to emptiness. So
how did you keep those people happy?
How do I keep those people happy? Talk to them. Communication. What's the key to any relationship is communication. Having a good relationship with them, talking to them, finding out personally what's going on with someone, whether it's, how do we help you? What's your struggle? And Dad was really good about that. So Dad, towards the latter part of working or being involved in the business, was all about the people. And he would just help people, whether it was give them a loan, help them with a new car, fix up their houses because he knew how to do construction. I mean, he would fix people's windows, doors, yards. He had a bobcat. He'd go over people's houses and move dirt all over the place or help them with whatever.
He's a very generous guy.
Generous, super generous with his time.
That's awesome.
He was very generous with his time and his labor and his money. So, and that's how I think at the end of the day, if you take care of the people that work with you or for you, they're going to help you in the long run. That's what I did. Absolutely figured that as I went along in my journey was when people need help, if you help them, they become loyal, very good employees that respect you more because you had to trust them. And now they could, if you don't show them that you trust them first, they're never going to trust you.
Yeah. If you could go back and sit down with a younger Keith Carley right before he's about to take over the business, what would you tell him?
I would tell him to go out and explore to see what life and what business looks like without working for family. So my biggest thing to people that are in family businesses or have the option to be in a family business, which is great.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity. And I don't think you should pass it up. But before you go and you work for family, go work for somebody else. Go figure out what the real world's like, how you get treated when you are just an employee.
Why do you, would that have changed your trajectory at all? Why that? Because that's really good advice. I didn't even think about that. That's amazing.
Yeah. Like your kids, if they ever want to be part of your business and you decided to bring them in, I would say go work for somebody else first. Understand what it is to be an employee. Understand how people treat employees. Understand, because if you don't know what it's like on the other side, how do you value what you got? Because I mean, let's be honest. I mean, a father always treats his son a little bit differently.
Definitely.
Like I made a ton of mistakes. Probably should have been fired 15 times, but I wasn't. And that just creates bad behavior.
Yeah.
And I think if you learn it young in your career, you could have more respect for your boss, whether it's your father or it's somebody else. So I always strongly suggest go work out for somebody else before you get into the family business. Wow. I didn't go to college. I'm not a college guy. I didn't feel like it fit my avenue of which direction I was going to go. I was always a hands-on mechanical person. I was always going to work physically more so than behind the desk. But towards the end of my career, I found myself behind the desk a lot. So not my favorite place to be.
You know what's so funny about that? You just said that. And I was talking with my wife, Robin, about this the other day. When I was a kid, I had this like treasure chest where I put stuff in. I'd put belongings and things in. I would always set it up like as a desk. And I would sit behind it as if I was like this lawyer or a doctor or something like that. And it's so funny that you started off kind of working with your hands, and I didn't. I would work out in the yard and I would do things with my dad. We'd fix the vehicles, and a lot of my work ethic and how I approach work is because of the lessons that my dad taught me. But it was so funny. Like when I was growing up, I always saw myself as a doctor or a lawyer sitting behind a desk,
really,
instead of like working with my hands. I don't know where that came from, but it was always a thing.
That's another thing. I always ask people, what did you do when you were young?
Yeah.
And to that example, I took stuff apart. I mean, my mother would come home and I'd have my remote control car spread in about 150 pieces all over the kitchen table. I'd be cleaning each little part, putting it together, taking it apart. I'd go running out in the yard. I'd ruin something.
You would take it apart, put it back together again, and it worked.
Absolutely.
Okay. I would take things apart and they would never come back together.
Oh, no. And every time I took it apart, I'd usually say, hey, Mom, can you take me up to the remote control car? I want to put new shocks in. I want to put better tires on it. Or I want to put a bigger motor in it. So I knew that was my gift. That's one of the gift the Lord gave me. So
I wanted to take things apart just because I was always curious, but it's so funny just because I never had the patience or the ambition or whatever it was to put it back together again. I mean, I not that I went around taking everything apart and breaking it, but when I would do that, because this is just kind of a testament to who I am and what I do now. My technical depth as an IT guy is very, very broad. I know a little bit about a lot of different things. I never really went deep on certain subjects, like my business partner or our director of service delivery, William. Like they went deep on some things that I never went deep on. But where I shine is with people and talking about business outcomes and the business side of what we do. not necessarily super technical stuff, because I just don't have the patience for it. Again, like I would take those things apart. I'm like, and I'm bored. Like I got to move on to the next thing. Like what's the next thing? So, and then I'd have to sell my mom on the idea that it's okay. I took this thing apart. It's not working anymore. And you know, it is what it is.
There's another thing in business. I mean, as far as that goes, it's good to understand and figure out what people are good at.
Yeah.
Where do people thrive? They thrive when they're doing what their gifts give them. Like, me as mechanical, I could probably be an 8 to a 10. You stuff me behind computers and doing stuff like that, and you're lucky if you get me to be a 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
So different areas let people succeed in different spots. And that was another thing as I started towards the end of being able to find out what people's gifts were and put them in the right spots. So that was obviously better as I moved along in I talk like, I'm only 51, but as you know, I just recently sold the business. So, moving on to, I don't know, different season in life. We'll see what happens.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that. That's amazing.
Thank you.
It's so funny. I was talking to a business mentor of mine the other day, and he was talking that every business owner, even if you're not going to sell the business, he was like, every business is a go-to-market business. And what he meant is that you should run the business as if you were going to sell it, even if you're not going to sell it, because it's going to force you to be profitable, to put the right processes in place, the right people. And I was like, man, that's so true. Because I was talking to somebody today about it. Like they were talking about IT providers, and I told him, I said, because he couldn't understand why his IT provider sucked. Honestly, that was the conversation. I was like, the problem is that there's a lot of nerds running IT companies, and they don't understand the people or the business side of running a business. They're really good at IT, just like, your uncle was really good at compressors, but not good with, not good with people, not good with money.
Great with people, but wasn't horrible with money.
There you go.
Second it came in, it went out, and he usually spent more than he made.
So there's the framework for business, for a successful business. Whatever the technical is, you have to fill that role. You have the people side of it, and then the money side of it. I mean,
3 legs to a stool.
That's it.
That's the thing. You got operations, you got sales, and then you got accounting.
Yeah. And if one outbalances the other, I mean, you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah.
You're going to have a bad
makes
time.
It more difficult.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure even up to the sell of your company, like nothing was perfect, but, and I say this about VXIT, like we're not perfect. We make mistakes all the time, but I like to look at us, and I think that we're a well-oiled machine. The machine needs tweaking constantly, and we need to improve process, and people might not be in the right seats, and we have to, make changes there and whatnot. But, what business, what life is perfect? It's constant improvement, always, every day, period. End of story.
That was interesting. Well, Butch, by the way, when you do have a business, if I start with the end in mind, so that was one of the things as I was starting to look to move out of the business, the books that I would read is, know what you want to get to before you start it. And that was interesting because I never thought that. I never in a million years thought I would sell this business. Just didn't. I thought I would do this for a really, really much longer time than I've done.
Yeah.
But where was I going with that?
You always have to run the business like you're going to sell it.
Well, and what was interesting to this, okay. So when this company did come and acquire us, one of the things they said to us, and I didn't see it, was, well, they did inventory, and we probably had somewhere around $1.5 million of inventory in the company. We were $900 off on our inventory count.
Wow.
And I always, I never thought we were that good.
Yeah, that's really good.
And our response back from them when they actually purchased us was, we've never seen a company as well organized and ran as yours. And we've bought quite a few companies.
That's amazing.
Shout
out to John E for the inventory.
Shout out to my whole team.
That's amazing.
And how impressed I was with that feedback.
Yeah.
Because the team was so much probably better than I gave them credit for, which shame on, I mean, I really do respect my people. and have a lot of respect for them and what they've done to help me personally get there, to where I'm at now. It was just really eye-opening to see how good we really were.
Yeah.
And until you hear it sometimes from somebody else, you don't recognize it. And people would come in and they'd be like, wow, you got a really, really clean and neat compressor shop. I've never seen a compressor shop where you can actually, there's not crap all over the place. And we were really clean and neat.
Yeah.
And that was one of our biggest core. It was neat, clean, and organized to make sure that, when people do call you, that you can actually respond. I know where the tools are. I know where the equipment is. I know what my first steps are is to go solve this problem and not have to go look for a bunch of stuff. So
that's one of the things about business I love, is that when I hear things like this, we have our own version of that. Across every industry, because we service 12 different industries. And sometimes when a new industry approaches us and says, hey, can you do our IT? Do you work in this industry? I'm like, maybe we have a client, maybe we don't. But even if we don't, like, IT is IT no matter what. And there are so many similarities across all of the industries.
You must see it constantly. Yeah.
Yeah. And just being exposed at that level, it's crazy. So want to wrap up here. So you had mentioned Start with the End in Mind. That's a book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great book.
It is a book. Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd recommend entrepreneurs read that no matter what stage they are, even if they're not looking to sell.
Even if they're starting a business.
Okay.
You might want to start that one. Yeah. Start off there.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not a big book reader. I'll be honest with you. I'm more of an audio guy and a podcast guy, and I love listening to successful people and their stories. But again, I'm always been a hands-on person, but I learn much better when I'm doing it and seeing it and touching it versus reading it. Give me a manual. I'm a typical guy. Well, we'll put that to the side until I actually
Let's just take it apart.
I ain't taking it apart.
I love it.
Show me pictures. But I mean, never a dull moment when you're in a business. There's always something to do. And you can always make it a little bit better. I mean,
always.
It's always, I think that's the entrepreneurial spirit, I guess, to a certain extent. You could always make it a little bit better. Never being satisfied, which is again a double-edged sword. It's you go home and sometimes you were just never satisfied.
Yep.
And by the way, that does not work at the home life.
Definitely not.
They're two totally separate animals.
Yes.
That's something I absolutely have learned.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing your professional story, your work story, your personal story.
That was fun.
I appreciate it.